Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the OffGridEnclave. Today we'll be looking at building a bug-out vehicle and the things and items required for that. Or to put it in other words, how to convert your average car to sustain life and provide reasonable amount of comfort and security for at least a few weeks. No matter your geographical location, life sometimes puts you in a position where you need to move quickly to protect your life or the one of your loved ones. The cause for this can be a lot of things. War, climate, sudden weather changes, economical hardship. If you find yourself in a position where this becomes a necessity, the more you are prepared, the more easy it will be. Let's start with the vehicle. Pretty much any car of any size will do. However, bigger cars like transporters, vans, combis and 4x4s will generally speaking be better for this than small cars. As with all the things, you should find a decent balance here. Too big of a car, say a small truck, can mean you need a lot more fuel, you're a lot more heavy, and hence you cannot take as many smaller roads and such. So, what are the benefits of a vehicle or a car straight from start out without modifying it? The obvious ones would be easy transportation for multiple persons, shelter, basic heating, a radio, storage capacity, and a basic medkit. The often overlooked part is that you also have a 12-volt system with a generator provided by the vehicle. Usually the vehicle has a reasonable sized 12 or 24-volt battery, and the engine will have a charger that charges the battery when it's running. Here is basically the key point where we switch from the things that we have to the things that we can easily add on to make a vehicle into an off-grid life support system. Adding a solar panel, a solar charge controller and a small inverter to run a small power load in 220 or 110 volt. You can use the existing 12 volt system of your vehicle to build a micro solar system. Let's go over the ampere ratings and size of these items real quickly. A cheap 20 ampere charge controller should not cost more than 10 euros or $10. Most of these models will provide a 5-volt USB output to charge mobile phones, tablets and such. If you find a MPPT controller, you can surely run that, but a cheap PWM controller will do just fine. The 20 ampere controller will allow you to run about 240 watt of solar panel. However, these wattages, the solar panels are already quite big in size. There is foldable solar panels, but they are more expensive than normal ones. Realistically, you can comfortably fit a panel between 50 and 150 watt into your car. Of course, if you happen to have a trailer hook, you can mount a few more panels on a trailer. For inverter size, I would choose something up to 300 watts. That is enough to charge and run most electric devices. Of course, you won't run a hairdryer on that. Managing the cabling for all this is not very complex. The solar module goes to the charge controller, and the charge controller you connect to the battery. Quite simple. Depending on your car type, you can connect the inverter to a cigarette lighter port or with clamps straight to the battery. All these items combined with cables and maybe a fuse should cost you about 50 to 70 euro or dollar. With a micro solar system like that, you have the luxury of running or charging electric devices like phones and laptops when the engine is off. Try not to abuse the battery too much in the night or your car might not start on the next day. A good backup to have for this is also a second car battery. And when you're moving off the main roads, it can be quite tricky if your car battery breaks in the middle of nowhere. Now, what are the electric things I would definitely recommend to have in a bug-out vehicle? First and foremost, you cannot rely on cell phone services in an emergency situation. Often during natural disasters, civil unrest or things of that nature, cell phone services will have issues. Also, the aspect comes to mind again that when you're moving off the main roads and you're keeping to the countryside away from big cities, you will have less cell phone coverage. A simple CB radio with a magnetic rooftop antenna can be very useful to have. With a small antenna you may only have about 20 to 30 kilometers of range, but it is not reliant on a centralized system somewhere else working. If you have power and your CB radio works, you can transmit and receive. As for other electrical devices, if your charge controller or your car does not provide a USB charger, you should definitely have one or two of these adapters for the cigarette lighter port to charge your phones or tablets. A GPS system of any sort is very useful to have. Newer cars will have that built in, newer smartphones will have that built in, or a portable navigation system will do. If you want to run multiple devices at once, it is recommended to have a cigarette lighter port multiplier. That makes it nice and comfortable to plug the devices. Additionally, if you plan to be on the road for longer than a week, I would definitely recommend to have a 12-volt water pump connected with some 2 to 3 meter Gardena hose and have a water filter built into that. With that, if you run out of water, you can easily refill and filter water from rivers or things like that. Furthermore, lights is a basic necessity for humans. Have some 12-volt LED lights, if possible one of them with a longer cable, so you can have light outside of your car. For maintenance and repairs, you should always carry plenty of car fuses and some additional cables. Having a few zip ties and 1 or 2 rolls of duct tape always comes in handy at some point. Furthermore, it can quite easily happen to have something stuck in your tire. Tire repair kits are rather cheap and should always be carried in a bug-out vehicle. Usually the tire repair kits come with 5 to 10 repair slugs and the tools required. This is additionally to carrying a backup tire. For these sorts of works you should also carry a car jack. Having the tire repaired is one thing, however you still need it filled, so bring a 12-volt air compressor to manage the pressure of your tires. Being off the main roads or in wintry conditions, it can also quite easily happen that you get stuck with your vehicle. Having a small foldable shovel is quite handy there. Alright, having the electric part covered, let's talk about some basic tools you should have in your bug-out vehicle. A small toolkit that comes with the basic tools like a hammer, some pliers, wrenches and things like that should always be with you for repairs. Complement that with an axe, a knife, some zip ties, duct tape, maybe 2-3 meters of rope, some lighters for fire, and you got yourself a nice toolkit to work with. For basic human needs and functions, I would definitely recommend having a sleeping bag and 1 or 2 blankets inside the vehicle. Have a big bag with a reasonable amount of personal hygiene articles like soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes and so on. Every human needs to take a dump once in a while, so think of that and bring some toilet paper. If you have any medical conditions that require medicamentation or medical equipment, I would highly recommend to have at least 3 to 4 weeks worth prepared. Finding a doctor for a prescription or a pharmacy that has that prescription drug can be a difficult task when you're on the move and outside of city areas. Think of that ahead of time and prepare accordingly. All humans need energy, all humans need to eat, so prepare for that. Have a box of storable food like pasta, rice, some canned food and water. I would aim to have enough to cover about 2 to 3 weeks traveling and living on the stored food. On the topic of food, it is also quite nice to have your food warm, so you need to figure something to have your food heated. Most easy solution for this is to carry a small hobo stove. These are small do-it-yourself stoves everybody can build with a knife out of tin cans. You don't need much to run them, a few branches and small twigs, make a fire, have a small pot, and there you go, warm food. Another option from the camping world would be small butane gas stoves. Cooking is quite efficient on gas, so a small gas bottle will last you quite a long time. Have 1 or 2 plastic plates and some cutlery for eating. A good thing to have 2 sets of is also copies of all your important documents. Passport, driver's license, car registration, car insurance, your insurance, and so on, documents of that nature. Before I overlook one of the most important aspects, You should definitely carry some backup fuel in your bug-out vehicle. When you're in need to evade things like natural disasters, floods and things alike, it can easily add plenty of kilometers to your planned journey. Prepare accordingly. I would recommend to have 3 to 4 fuel canisters. Scale this with the fuel consumption of your vehicle. If you can cover about 1,000 kilometers, that is a good number. Out and about, living in nature in your vehicle, you might get wet, dirty or stinky. Have at least 2 sets of seasonal clothes, some underwear and socks, and a spare jacket to change clothes once in a while. If you are into fishing, having a small foldable fishing rod and a small box with basic fishing utilities sure does not hurt. Life on the go like that can be quite different to what people are accustomed to. Don't waste your resources like fuel, energy, water and food. Use your resources preferably on a need to use base and not on a want to use base. Generally speaking, choose your path wisely. Take the time to look at the map and plan your journey. Think of alternative routes and possible complications ahead of time. A bug-out vehicle or a bug-out situation should not be seen as camping. Do not bring unnecessary luxury goods like foldable chairs and things that you do not necessarily need on a journey to keep your life or healthy or more comfortable than required. May everybody that needs to bug out have a safe journey, travel in peace and arrive healthy. I will be posting a link to the full item list in the video description. If you have further questions, input or feedback, don't be shy, hop on our Discord. I'll post the link down in the description. If you found this content helpful, leave a like or consider subscribing for future videos. Have a great day and make it count.